Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Recovering Out Loud podcast. I'm your host, Charles Van Loucks, and today I'd like to talk about a couple of things. The first is recovery apparel, such as the hat and the shirt. And then I'd also like to talk about re-socialization. So I'll start today with the recovery apparel. So these products here, along with this sticker, which they also have on a t-shirt, they got this one and they got that one. Also on t-shirts. These are from soberissexy.com and also sobermode.com. Now, the reason that I want to talk about recovery apparel is for a few reasons. First, they take brands that are already out there, like, for example, this hat says Hope, right? And it has a little diamond in the middle. There was a hat and shirt back in the day that said Dope, right? And had the little diamond in the middle and all that. So it was a pretty popular brand at the time, and they were able to take the same kind of design and everything, but instead make a positive version of it and switch it to Hope instead. And same thing with the shirt. So there used to be a shirt from LRG that said Hustle Trees, and it had the tree and the birds and the roots. But now it says Hustle Hope instead. So same kind of thing. They took a popular brand and they took their message and kind of flipped it a little bit, because the thing is, some people might think that, whether it's saying dope on a hat or whether it's a shirt that says, Hustle Trees or whatever, some people might think that that's not the end of the world, right? I disagree though. I don't think it's necessarily the end of the world, but I do think that it affects people, especially young people, right? I think they're very impressionable. And I think that when they see those kinds of things, maybe famous celebrities wear them, maybe some of their friends wear them, whatever, they start to associate those slogans, Hustle Trees, Dope, right? They start to associate those things with being cool and being famous and all that kind of stuff, So I'm really happy that there are, these brands out there that are doing something different. They're putting a positive spin on things. Now, the other reason that I wanted to bring up recovery apparel is for a very personal one. So, for my own recovery, I waited a year before I went to any shows or festivals or any of that kind of stuff again. And that was just the time period that I felt was needed, was a year. Anyway, I went to my first concert, which was Bass Nectar. I went there clean. I brought my brother with me, so I had my support person there, right, who was also clean, and I brought my recovery shirt as well. And the one that I was wearing at the time was very big and right in your face. It said 100% sober, like there's no way somebody could misinterpret what it is that I'm trying to say with that shirt, Um, for me, having that shirt, it gave me another level of confidence. And I think it also allowed me to put the message out there to others that, hey, I'm not looking to pick up, don't offer, I'm not interested, So right off the bat, I think that made me feel a little bit more in control, I guess, of that situation, And I think that, the other thing that it did, it took a very, dangerous situation and made it easier. So we were down in the pit, jumping around, having fun. It was a really good show. And this person passed a joint my direction, right? Now, in a moment like that, that could be kind of a dangerous situation, right? A, I don't know what's in there. And B, who knows what that joint leads to, right? So without even really thinking about it, I turned to this person, I showed him my shirt, and I kind of laughed it off, And I was able to deflate that situation that could have been dangerous. And looking back on it, um, when I was at that show a year clean, if I wouldn't have had that tool, right, both the support of my brother and the shirt, I don't know if I would have gotten through that situation. I don't know. I'm not sure what that would have led to, but luckily it turned out well. And that's something that I still to this day use. So that's my way of recovering out loud as well, is to wear some of these recovery brands, because I feel like the more that I can be open and transparent and really put myself out there, put my recovery out there, it makes me feel strong. It makes me feel like I don't have to hide anymore. I don't have to worry about those kinds of things. And I'll tell you, in my 9 years of recovery, man, I've told my story to anybody who will listen, and a couple of people who really didn't want to listen, but I haven't received anything but positive reinforcement from that, from positive comments, or it's even like, oh yeah, I'm so glad to hear you're doing well. My sibling really should be in recovery, or hey, my dad's in recovery, or whatever. Most people have some kind of connection to it, so I think that really helps me kind of put myself out there in the way that I want as well. Now, the other thing that I'd like to talk about as well is re-socialization. So sometimes when we get into recovery, there are certain places or activities that we feel we can't do anymore, for different reasons, right? I'll give you an example. For me, a part of my story was the pool hall. I've played pool competitively since I was, very young, 14. And I've always really loved the game. But unfortunately, during my active addiction, I used to gamble a lot there. I used to, use drugs there. I used to sell drugs there. I used to, all kinds of stuff. And I felt like I wasn't able to go back there. One particular pool hall, and so resocialization is all about reclaiming that for our life and our recovery. So the way that I went about that was I found a pool hall that had no bar. Right, I'd never been there. I didn't know anybody, and I brought a support person with me, a friend of mine, and we went there and we just went and played pool, right? Just so that I could get back into it and remember why I love to shoot and why I love the competitive spirit of the game and all that stuff. So we did that for a while. And, when I was able to feel comfortable in that environment, then I was able to, I used an app called Meetup. And there was a group on there. It was a group of sober people who would go out and do different things together, right? So we went to the pool hall together, and it just so happened to be the pool hall where some of my story was from, right? But I was there with a big group of people. We were able to get together, hold each other accountable, support each other, and play pool and just have fun, And going through it at the right speed, right? Making sure I had support with me, making sure I felt comfortable, all those different things, it led to a good outcome. And, if you're going to try that yourself as well, make sure you're careful about it. You bring people with you, all that kind of stuff. Because it can be difficult. It can be triggering, Um, but resocialization for me was such an important part of my own recovery, because now I'm able to go back to these pool halls. I'm able to shoot in leagues. I'm able to compete in tournaments and all these things that I really love. And they're passions of mine. And like when I put my headphones in and I'm, reading the table and I get down on one of my shots, I'm not thinking about anything except for that shot and my next couple shots and where I need to leave the ball, right? So it's a really great way to, you know, just feel more comfortable in those kind of situations. Um, and I think also it's been helpful. Like on my pool bag, I have a little patch. I got a little patch that says NA on it, and it's got this cool design and all that stuff. And I leave it on purpose. My bag, I mean, I leave my bag where people can see it as well. And I've had people come up to me after matches and stuff and say, "Hey, man, you're a friend of Bill W. Even though it's AA, but I'm like, yeah, dude, for sure, blah blah blah." And it's just a cool way to meet like-minded people and just to feel comfortable in those situations moving forward as well. So I think that it's a really important thing that if there's something in your life that you feel you really need, that it's a great passion of yours and you miss it a lot, man, I think it's so important to try, and even utilizing like exposure therapy type of situation as well can be helpful if you feel really triggered, even with support people and all that kind of stuff. But I think that having that passion in our life, that drive, that when things get tough, we don't turn to a substance, right? We turn to that passion, right? That's the whole point, because that's the thing. Like for me, if I get to a certain level of frustration or stress or whatever, right? My mind knows that substance is just going to make things worse, right? It's just going to, destroy my marriage, right? It's going to hurt my kids, it's going to hurt me, right? Like it's just going to make things worse. I know that, you know? So today I have rewired my brain so that if I get to that point of frustration or whatever, I have these other things I can do. I can pick up the camera, I can throw in the headphones, go walk around. That's a good one. I'm focused. I don't think about the other things, right? I can also, go and shoot pool. I can go and compete and get all intense and put in the headphones and, get that competitive spirit that I love so much. And it's helpful. It's for me, it's really helpful, having those different outlets for sure. So also Meetup, if you do check that app out, they have a group for like literally everything, like anything you could think of. Matter of fact, back in the day when I was working out in LA, I joined one of those groups, and it was a group that would meet at a park once a week, and they'd play a game of dodgeball in the park, and then have a quick little like body weight workout, and then that's it. They go along their way. Is a free thing, great way to meet people. Matter of fact, one of my close friends, I met him there, well over 10 years ago. Um, so, if there's certain things in your life that you've always wanted to try that you feel could become a passion, you think it could, be one of those rewiring kinds of things, because it needs to be a meaningful activity, something that's really important to you, that you really care about. But if you feel that there's an activity like that out there, I would say try. Worst case scenario, you've just wasted a little bit of time, right? But I think the upside is well worth it for sure. If you want to, learn more about Connect peer coaching and how we can help with resocialization and lots of other things, the link for our website is in the description. You can also find out more about soberissexy.com and also sobermode.com. They'll be in the link, or the link will be in the description down below. And I also, for the people who have stuck around this far, thank you. And I'd also like to bring up once again a new segment that I'm going to start called Ask an Addict. And I wanted to start this series because I think that there are a lot of things that people misunderstand about addicts, whether they're in active addiction or in recovery or, whatever. I think there's a lot of things that are misunderstood. And I think that, with some simple education and having, just an open dialogue, I think a lot of that could be cleared up. And I think it could, for my normies out there and my support people and everyone, I think that it could also help in, understanding what it is that your loved one goes through, right? Because the reality is, if you haven't been through addiction yourself, you don't really know what it's like. But you don't necessarily have to know what it's like, right? You just have to know that they're going through something that's very difficult and they need you, you know? So I would like to open up a dialogue about that. And so if you have some questions, you can leave them here as comments, and we will put together a show where I go through some of those questions and answer them as best I can. Yeah. Thank you so much.